So happy Thursday. I know a lot of you are interested in today. So today we are talking about that transition from school to summer, right? We're in May right now. It's coming up. We're all thinking about it, right? So yay, summer, so much fun, summer. But it's also a change to our schedules. It's a change to our daily lives as moms, especially if we are work from home moms or if we're stay-at-home moms, right? I mean, it just completely changes how our days go, whether that is one kid coming home from school and you already have one at home, or if it's multiple kids, elementary, teenagers, even, if you take a break from preschool during the summer, right? There's always something changing with that season of going into summer. And it can kind of be difficult to plan, when you are at home with kids. So if you saw the email yesterday that I sent out, there are options for working moms, right? Of course, that would be for future years, right? Because in May, you're too late for the most part. Most summer programs have, especially like the full summer type of programs. If you are someone who works outside the house, hopefully you have already, created that plan. I mean, I think when I worked in corporate, we usually made those plans in March, April at the latest, is kind of when you kind of sign up and do the wait list for those programs that are more like, full-time summer care. But, maybe you've done that and maybe your child is disliking, the current summer care plans, then you can actually kind of look at that list from yesterday's email and kind of see other options, and kind of switch it up a little bit, especially as kids get older and start to get new interests, then, you can kind of find other programs that kind of lean more towards something they're interested in. And it's really great to be able to allow them to kind of go somewhere new for a week. If it's in the budget, right, to take a week off from the normal and go to something more within their interests, then it's really fun to be able to do that. If you didn't get that email, if you're not on the list, then, put in the comments, I can send you that email. And so that you'll kind of get those list of things that my kids have done, because like I said, I have two girls that are teenagers and my son is 9. So, and we've moved 5 or 6 different houses in the time of their lives, different states. So, there's a lot of different types of activities and availability for activities that I've had to look for in the time when I was in corporate, and then when I was working at home versus staying at home. So let me know in the comments or email me and I will send you that email if you want to see some more of those. But let's talk about kids that are home for the summer, not on one of those planned care schedules such as daycare or full day summer camp. So similar to some of the ideas mentioned in that email is to find a camp that has an activity they are interested in. So some, you can find some that are like the whole week, that are half days for the whole week, or even just one full day, or they might be, even a lot of the sports ones are still end up being like after work hours type of thing. But it's kind of, what is your kid interested in? Because, you can kind of search for and find summer activities that, I was like, my son's done Minecraft, my daughter's done horse riding camp. My son's done basketball camps, soccer camps, football camps. So, I mean, it's kind of nice to have that little bit of variety over the summer, to do a camp or two. So that if you do have a child that is going to be home, the entire summer, it's nice to kind of have that little bit of a break to allow them to go and do something like that. But kind of let's go into your kids just home. And so first thing that you want to do is do some planning, even if they're home and you're not sending them to places. And so kind of the idea when you're doing planning, the first thing is to think about realistic expectations, mostly for you about what you're able to get done when you have transitioned from, I have, all during the time that my child is at school to do the things I do around the house, to do whatever work I do if I work from home, and going into now there's, kids in the house, right? And they have things that they need. So there's distractions. So I'm kind of thinking about, did you have 5 hours of work a day while your kids were in school? Well, is it realistic to think that you can get that same 5 hours of work done with them at home? And if not, what can you do at home? Like, especially if you have, a business or you're working from home, like how do you set up your time so that you are able to get the critical and most important work in when they're at home with you? And then also, once you have someone else that comes home that can watch them. So think about using those hours as well, as once your spouse, your partner, once that person comes home, then, you can hand off and then, be able to do work. So, it's kind of, what can you do with them at home? It also depends on their age and the stage and their independence, right? Are they able to make their own snacks or, easily get their lunches out, right? How much supervision do they need? So, and also they're going to be interrupting you. So how are you going to handle that? Because when you have an expectation of getting the same amount done in the same amount of time of, for when they were there at school versus being here at home, it really leads to disappointment. I know we've talked about that before, right? The expectation will lead to disappointment if it's not realistic. Leads to you being tense, right? Leads to you maybe being upset with any interruptions, and that's just no fun for you or your kids. So first is realistic expectations. Second is, asking your kids what they want to do. Have them help you plan. Let them look through the summer flyer that comes in from the park or from the school, or let them look online at all the options from the Boys and Girls Club, or for us, the local gymnastics place, right? So a lot of them have different types of camps. So you can have them look, again, if it's in your budget, to do some of these camps so that, they can look for something that is interesting to them. And remember that if you do something like a camp, that you got to put in the time of drop off, pickup. So plan for that, right? Then kind of look around your neighborhood. What's available? Is there a park? Is there a neighborhood pool? Does the pool have a guard on duty, or do you have an older sibling that can bring your younger kids to the pool to supervise them? Or even you can, if there are places like that, parks, neighborhood pools, neighborhood activity centers, can you bring your work with you and be there to supervise? Again, depends on the age and stage and independence of your child, so that you're there, but you can be doing work at the same time, such as, shorter, easier, more mindless, like 15-minute tasks or something like that would be a good thing to bring for that. Another thing, can you swap with another parent to watch kids one day, since they may likely be together playing anyway, right? So my son plays with multiple different kids in our neighborhood, and sometimes I don't even know which one he's at for a while until I call around and say, did he stay with you? Because he'll go and ask each one if they're able to play. But yeah, so then, sometimes they stay there, sometimes they come here. So if you can kind of even, get a good idea as to when your kids' friends' parents are home with them, as to, making sure that you swap days back and forth and have an idea as to which days that you're going to be able to do more stuff because your child's going to be there playing, versus when you're going to have to even, check to make sure you have, more succinct tasks to do while someone else's child is here, right? So, that swap's a good thing. Also kind of look for online summer activities. So, something where it's screens, but, put them in front of the screen. And a lot of those will actually have them do active things. Like, if you have one that, actually has them do certain, things like, doing hopscotch or running or jumping rope or something like that. There are ones that do that. Or something where they do like a hide and seek, like a search in the house or a search outside, or, there are different things like that where you just search for, online summer camp, and you can find some of those things as well. And that, it may just be a workbook or something that they send you, and then your child can go through and each day go and do something, a fun activity. And that allows them to take time to go do that without you. Is there a book or series that they love to read? You can, get them, or even just library time. And again, with the library, you can also go and do some work while you're there, while they're searching through and hunting down whatever books they want. And even while they sit there and read them for some amount of time, you could be doing work at the library. So also, like my son right now, he's at an age, he just wants to play with friends. So that's all great and everything if there are friends to play with. So what you also want to do is say, hey, when you're telling me you're just going to run around and play with friends, what if no one's available? What are you going to do when you're at home? So if your child's like mine saying, I'm just going to go play with friends, then you want to make sure that they know and understand what are those other activities that they can do. So they're not immediately coming back bothering you saying, no one's able to play, right? It's so sad, right? When they come back and no one's able to play. But then if you kind of have that list of other things they said they like to do, right? Like my son can go out and shoot hoops. He can go and play soccer. He can, play with the dogs, right? There's other activities he could do. And if you kind of have that list available once you guys talk about it, then it helps with them coming in and saying, I'm bored, right? Because you can say, hey, go look at the list. So with again, if you have younger kids, then you're obviously going to need to supervise them more. And that's where that list, like I said, of if you can make a list of those short 10 to 15 minute tasks that you can do while you're supervising them, that it's a make a list for yourself at the same time, right? Also kind of think about when you're talking to them about what activities they would like to do for the summer, is what are the family things, right? Is there, do they want to do board games? Do they want to play sports outside as a family? Do they want to go to the park as a family? Do they want to go to the pool as a family? Of course, you also think about, what summer vacations you're going to do. But then for those everyday times when your child is at home or your children are at home, it's like, what are those things that they can do together as a family? Do you read as a family? You watch a movie, you play games, sports, and also think about the option of having a little time with each child sometime in the morning. So something they want to do, like my son, a lot of times it's go outside and play horse, shoot basketball, play horse, or knock out, or go out and kick the soccer ball. But once he gets that time, then he feels filled up with mom love, right? He's gotten his attention. So then it's easier for him to go off and play and do something else. My son's 9, right? If you have someone younger, then you may have to do that a couple times a day, right? It may be every couple hours that you need to go and spend some time with your child for them to feel that they're filled up and able to go and do activities on their own. My son is like once or twice a day, and he's good, right? So it's like that ability to connect with your child so that they know that you're here, available, but then they don't need you to be there with them all the time anymore. So next is to create a routine, right? We already have routines that we have set up for school, right? There's a certain time that the kids had to be up so they can be ready, so they get on the bus or leave on their bikes or walk, right? So everyone has to get up at a certain time during school. Try to make it similar for the summer. Now, it doesn't have to be the same time. You may want to get up at the same time, and that then gives you extra time to potentially get some stuff done before they wake up. But if you have them waking up at a more consistent basis like they did during the school year, then that routine is helpful for them. Also, meal times, right? It's helpful for them to know when they're going to eat, and then regular bedtimes. It really just helps you and them feel more grounded, to know that there's something that they're expecting and that it will happen at a certain time. Also, if you can set up specific times when they know that they can interrupt you, or ways to let them know when they can interrupt you. Do you have a door on the office you normally work at? Can you close that when you can't be interrupted? Or is it something where you always leave it open so you can hear them, right? So that constant interruption, right? But that's something where you get to decide and help them understand. Can you put a sign on the door that lets them know that you're doing some very deep work, right? It's just important to have it be flexible and know and communicate your boundaries so that you're kind of able to get your work done and enjoy your kids. So let's kind of get to that second part of mindset. Consider things above kind of help you to create that mindset that'll work for your summer. So, maybe you do have a certain amount of work that you have to do each day with the kids at home. If they are younger, right? If they're preschool, younger elementary, a summer camp's really probably a best option if you have a lot of work. Because there will be interruptions if they are home. So expect it, plan for the interruptions. Maybe that means you actually wait and work when your spouse gets home, right? If you plan for interruptions, your day will go more smoothly because you're expecting it, right? Then you don't have that disappointment because you're expecting the interruptions. Because when you're thinking, I expect interruptions and I have a plan, then you can just remind your kids to follow the plan when you are working. For example, if you tell them before you go down to work, today I have a call from 2 to 3, my door will be closed, any requests need covered now before I go down. And then, let them know what is an emergency. So, emergency for us is someone is injured, bleeding, something in the house is, a disaster's happening, a toilet overflowing, something like that. They know that that's an emergency in which they can interrupt. Someone took my toy is not something to interrupt about, right? It's something that you wait until I'm done with whatever the meeting I had was. So you kind of create your rules and your boundaries and, let the kids know those so that they know what to do. They know when you will be available as well, because, if they don't know you're going to be available, then they're going to just interrupt. But if they have an idea as to when, and then you're also, again, that thought work there is thinking, I expect interruptions and I have a plan. for, when the kids need to do things. So next is, the kids helping with planning, right? So that allows you to think that they have plenty of activities to do that we already planned, right? So if you're looking at, if you've made that list of activities for them to do, then you can just point them to the list or remind them of the list or remind them of things on the list if they are not able to read. Again, if you're younger, then you may have to supervise whatever those activities are, right? So, make sure that you're planning any work activities that can be done while you're also doing that supervising. And that those activities can be things that are easily interrupted to help with activities. And, part of that is ensuring that you are taking your tasks and breaking them down to smaller parts so that it's easier to know, okay, I've done this part, I can check that off. I've done this part, I can check that off. It's like interruption. Oh, yeah, I checked that part off, so I'm now on this, right? So you have an idea as to where you are in the work you're doing. So you can quickly get back to it. And another good thought is to think that boredom is normal. It's expected. It's good for your kids and it is allowed. And I mean, some of the most creative things happen when kids are bored. Now, there's been some doozies that have happened. Like I remember my son and his friend finding a Sharpie marker and then, coloring all over each other. That happened once. It was funny. No one was hurt. Nothing was damaged. It took a while for their skin to get all the Sharpie marker off, but hey, they had a good time doing it. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a bad example, but I mean, kids will find very interesting things to do. Understand though, that may mean some kind of mess and you just have to be okay with it. Or you have to make sure that they understand what areas, what rooms that they can actually be playing in. And the next one is having a normal routine. Like I said before, it helps them to know when you will be available for them. So it also makes sure that they understand and know when you're doing special things with them. Like if you plan to go and play a game or an activity, especially, so that they get that time in. So you can be thinking and know that their needs are being met and that you've planned time with them so you can relax and get your work tasks done because they're taken care of. It also may motivate you to get tasks done more quickly, efficiently, so that you can get to those activities that you want to do with your kids over the summer. And this even works for stay-at-home moms, right? I mean, if there's certain chores that you do on certain days, right? The same thing applies, right? You still have to break those tasks down and get them done. That's also another thing that you can have them help with. Next is having a plan for self-care. So if you have a plan for self-care, then you can think about using it when you're stressed or things are not going smoothly. So, you can make sure that you take a couple minutes of a meditation break or a breathing break. Maybe you can take a walk, especially if, the day is kind of more chaotic. Then you maybe earlier in the day, you take a walk, and that's some time that you can spend with your kids as well, because they can go with you and get some energy out. But again, it's thinking, I have a plan and this works for me, my kids, right? So just, once you plan it and you decide it together, then you can just be at peace knowing that your plan works for you. So, and then, have flexibility where you can and put in boundaries where you need them. And, using that mindset work, thinking that you can do this and that you can enjoy your summer doing this and that you have a plan, that creates a summer that allows you to get the most important things done in your work and your day and with your kids. So kind of, thinking of those things that I mentioned, write some of those thoughts that resonate with you down, post them in places you can see them so that every day you're reminded, oh yeah, I have a plan and this works for me. This works for my kids. My kids' needs are taken care of. That way that you are not thinking about them when you're trying to do the things that you're trying to do in your house or with your work. So let me know, how are you going to incorporate this into your summer? Are you going to do some planning? You're going to look for a summer camp? You're going to do some mindset work? You're going to do all of those. So comment in the Facebook group, or if you're watching on YouTube, comment there or send me an email. Let me know. I'd love to know how this is helping you. So I hope you have a wonderful week. And get a few minutes to make some decisions about your summer plans. This was, a lot all at once. If you're struggling with making a workable plan for summer, and you have kids that are just going to be home, then kind of hop on a free 15-minute call with me, and I can help you get started with your plan. So, put in the comments or send me an email. Let me know that you'd like to hop on a call, and I'll send you a link and you can set that up. So I hope everyone has a great week. Until next week, have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.